Okay. All right. Namaste, everyone. Good to see you all on this Wednesday weekday evening. Uh, the way this started, it's now I know Ravi for quite some time, must be more than 10 years, on different occasions, and also he attends the in-person classes. But I didn't know how deep he was in meditation. Just last Wednesday, actually, after the class, he asked me. So I have this one question where I can see my thoughts. I can see them, and maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, one thought is coming, then the other one, and so on. So this is all good, but what is the next step? What exactly am I supposed to do? And so I said, we have all the experts in the community, and let's just ask them. And so that's how it started. And so thank you, Shekhar, Vikram, and Pravin for joining the group. And so I'm looking forward to getting his questions answered. And at the same time, I feel that these questions are so deep that one session may not be enough, but at least we can get started, and sometime maybe in December or January we can resume this talk further. Okay? So with that, go ahead. I would request Ravi to first tell what exactly happened, and this kind of pose your question or about the observation, and then Vikram is going to kind of coordinate the activities. And so thank you, Vikram. Go ahead, Ravi.
So, good evening, all, and thank you, Sabnis Kaka, Vikram Dada, Shekhar ji, and Pravin ji for arranging this session on observing thoughts. So, I always heard about the meditation and the good thing it does, and the mindfulness and the tool it has been used for stress management, anxiety management. About 10 years back, there was a commentary on NPR News that says the meditation can change your brain, and for good. The structure of the brain changes for the people who do regular meditation. But I never experienced it until a few years back. And I think also started with, I read another book which is called Power of Now. I know, again, this is a reference from NPR. I'm a big fan of NPR. So one of the commentaries says, this is a bestseller book, and Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And it talks about accessing the power. Life doesn't happen in future, doesn't happen in past, but is this very moment. So I read that book and a couple of other books. And then I thought, no, let's try it. What is meditation? So I wanted to know, how this mind works then after reading this book, and what are the thoughts, and what are emotions, and how these emotions are connected to thought. And what is consciousness? We all heard about consciousness, subconsciousness, and what is beyond that subconsciousness and consciousness, and how to achieve this. So I started doing meditation, and with some experiment, I think I started getting deep into it. So over the period of time, I understood that thoughts are temporary. It comes and goes. This is not permanent in nature. Our thoughts today is something there, and tomorrow it will change. Our perception about things changes. So it is not a permanent thing. And they have also energy associated with that. So the stronger the emotions, the thoughts are stronger, and it really sucks the energy out of you. And we probably have experienced, everyone experienced that when the emotions are high, how drained you feel, right? So those are the thoughts and emotion. And so there was a lot of unanswered question I had. So So I started doing this meditation in last 2, 3 years. And there are times I would say I had amazing experience with meditations where uh, I truly experienced that complete awareness, the joy, the calmness, the stillness, which cannot be described in words. That feeling is amazing. Um, so I'm going to share my experience with meditation, maybe later in this session, and what I do and what I experience and what I observe. And I want to know from other experts also, like what is their experience about the meditation and what they experience. And uh, basically, I'm looking for how can I improve the overall quality of my meditation? How can I reach to the state of consciousness beyond my mind, beyond the observer? And how can I reach to that state? Could be lifestyle change, could be the meditation technique. And there are some unanswered questions. Once you reach to the conscious mind or the conscious state, what is beyond that? We heard about yogis are getting uh, Buddha got enlightenment, Paramhans got enlightenment, and so they got something beyond that, where they're aligned with Paramatma. So what are those things, and what happens beyond that? So these are some unanswered question actually I have, but I would say the steps goes from reaching to the good meditation practices and reaching it to the conscious level, and how to achieve that. So I'll be looking for some of the uh, input from all the expert and basically all of who is in this forum.
Thank you so much, Ravi. This was wonderful. You have had an amazing inner experience. And I think many of the participants here in this room have had some experience with meditation. I don't do any meditation myself, so I'm really not qualified to talk about that. But I would say, I think Pravin, our brother, he has done quite a bit of meditation. And I would request him to say what he has on his mind based on what Ravi has said so far. So
Sure.
you can tell us about your experience, Pravin, please.
Sure, Dada. Namaskar, Ravi Dada. Just to give you a background, first of all, meditation, I'll start there. I'm a bit of I get into the basic semantics of things. So for my first question is, what is meditation? Because that word itself has different meanings for different people. The real act of meditation may be different for different people. Just like Vikram Dada said, like him, I am also not a meditator, so to say, but I do a form of meditation which is prescribed by Advait Vedanta. It is called, there are 6 types of meditations. It is called as Drig, Drishya, and Vivek. There is also something called as Pancha Kosha Vivek, but we will not talk about that right now. I will tell you quickly what it is, Drig, Drishya, Vivek. And this will kind of also touch upon the observation part that you mentioned. So essentially, and this is my understanding of it also. One is the meditation, the actual act is really to figure out who is observing or who is experiencing. So that is Drig Drishya Vivek. The basic concept is, if I see an object, who is really seeing that object? So that object is somewhere outside, external. My eyes are experiencing or seeing that object. So my eyes are the seer and the object is the seen. Now you take it one step behind and say, but my eye doesn't know how to think and interpret everything. So the whatever the eye sees, the eye is the scene and the seer is the mind. So the mind really translate what it sees into its cognition, and that is the mind is the one that is experiencing. So the seer or the observer is the mind and the scene is the eyes. Now you take it one step further back and it says that even the mind is not the seer really. The mind is also seen, and the seer or the observer is the consciousness. Now, Advait Vedanta, and as I understand Dada is, and this is also a common mistake that one tries to do when they are doing meditation, is just like you can experience your eyes, just like you can experience the thoughts in your mind, you're trying to experience the consciousness. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Advait says that you cannot objectify consciousness. So if you are objectifying it and if you feel that you can sense it, then in some way it is your mind again perceiving it in that way. So this is what Advait says. Again, Advait is, a lot of our scriptures, even, I'll give you another example. The Brihadaranya Upanishad actually talks about it, and Swami Sarva Priyananda has explained it very beautifully. We tend to forget this at all times, but whatever we experience in our normal cognition is basically not a direct experience. It is always indirect. So let me explain what that means. If I see the laptop in front of me, the laptop is not something that I'm seeing directly. The light is reflected, the light that you have in the room is falling on this laptop. It is reflecting that light which enters my eyes. So it is indirect. Same thing, if somebody is saying something or my voice which you're hearing, directly my voice is not entering into your brain. It is first reflecting on your eardrums and then it is entering into your brain. So anything that goes through your senses goes through a via medium. So in Brihadaranya Upanishad, it is said that even the consciousness that you experience is not direct. It is indirect and it is experienced as something called as reflected consciousness. Just like the reflection of the laptop enters my eyes, the reflection of the consciousness actually powers my mind. So what is that thing that reflects then? The question. Everybody says it is the mind, but what is it that in the mind that reflects this pure consciousness? So that is actually called the ego. So mind is made up of four parts: buddhi, ahankar, chitta, and manas. The ahankar part of it is really on which it reflects. And because of that, you are conscious or you become aware of everything around you. You as a living being, through your mind and body, start experiencing everything. Without pure consciousness is always there. So once when we say that we die, what happens is our mind, that is our ahankar or the reflector, stops functioning and our body stops functioning. So we die. But truly, our pure consciousness, which is all what we are finally, continues to pervade. So now the real question is that when it is reflecting on our mind or ahankar, how does it reflect? What really happens? So in Brihadaranya, it talks about vritti. So based on the vritti of that person, which is nothing but impressions, or vritti basically means modification. So the meaning of the word vritti means modification. So anything that is experience is modified by the mind, and the modification is based on your ego, which is really the reflector. Pure consciousness falls on your ego and powers yourself. Now, what you experience in your life is purely based on the vritti or the power of modification of your ahankar. So now, how do I start experiencing pure consciousness to the closest I can? Is what the whole game is about. If your mirror is dirty, you will not experience pure reflection or pure consciousness as it is. So first you have to clean the mirror. To clean the mirror, how do you clean your ahankar? Because that's the mirror. So you have to ensure that by practices which reduce the level of ahankara from a negative ahankar to just what is needed, if that can be done by various practices, which can be kriya yoga, hatha yoga, meditative practices, or even ahar shuddhi, and all the various practices, then your ego, because basically what is ego? Ego is dependence on the mind and body. So you start doing practices by which you start taming your mind and you are taming your body. Right now what is happening is I feel hungry. It is my body demanding food. But now that I'm hungry, I want to eat a particular type of food. So now that food become from a necessity moves into desire. So the whole idea of doing all these practices is to start disciplining the body and saying, you are not my master. I am your master. I will decide what I will eat. I will decide what I will think. I will decide when I will think. That is why we sit in one place and we meditate. So the whole idea is about taming the mind and the body to a point where the mirror is cleaned. It doesn't have the vrittis to influence or the modifications of the reflection to influence, in which state you will see the reflection for what it is purely. That is the experience that you can have, is my understanding of pure consciousness in your lives. I tried to articulate to the best of my ability. I know some of my words may fall short. Sometimes language can be a barrier also in explaining these kind of things. But Dada, this was my attempt. Now, personally, how I meditate is I follow the Drigdishya Vivek, in which everything that you see, you are saying that who is really experiencing this. So every time you're asking yourself this question, and the moment you come to a point where you realize that it is not even my mind, then you are aware of something else other than the mind who is observing. That is a day-to-day meditation which you can do even while carrying on your day-to-day activities without closing your eyes and sitting in one place. Of course, the other form of meditation is really to sit in one place, close your eyes, anchor your attention on your breath or any other thing, and then concentrate on it. Thoughts may come, thoughts may go. You're not supposed to let your attention get hooked on to the thought. The only discretion you have is the attention. So you keep it on the breathing, and the whole idea about that is the reason why that process of meditation is the way it is prescribed that way is you are actually trying to tame the mind. Every time the monkey mind will try to grab your attention. So all you're trying to do is you're trying to tell it that I am not going to be your slave. You shall be my slave. So I am going to focus or my attention on my breath, and irrespective of whether you come and go, I'm not going to pay attention to you. So that is my understanding of it. And again, why the mind works the way it is, I think I've spoken in my video. I can talk about it also, but I want to just open it up for thoughts rather than, just me talking. But Dada, that was my perspective and how I do meditation, and how it is not safer not to fall into the trap of, because if you objectify pure consciousness, you may not really experience it. The whole idea about enlightenment, which everybody talks about, is I am not the mind, I am not the body. And as long as I can think about that every single living moment, I am aware about that every single living moment, I think that itself is, in a way, enlightenment. I don't know whether there are experiences mystical. Maybe there are. At least, I've had some, but I don't think that really those experiences are enlightenment. The quest for enlightenment is ongoing, and it can only, culminate to a point where you're not enslaved by your mind and body, in which case the pure consciousness doesn't need it going forward, and which itself by definition is freedom from this body and mind, and the reason to be taking different lifetimes, which is moksha.
Wow, that was a lot to digest.
Dada, but
Shekhar
I'm sorry.
Dada.
I think maybe I may have gone a bit here and there.
No, but it was all, in a way, very hard to comprehend, wrap our head around that. So who better to tell us about how to wrap your head around something than Shekhar Dada, who's our yogic neuroscientist. So Shekhar Dada, you have any thoughts about what Ravi and Pravin have said so far? Why don't you tell us about your thoughts, whatever you can think of?
I'm not an expert, to be very honest with you. I have zero expertise I have about anything. I used to be 10 years ago high level expert about everything. Now I am zero. So I don't know what that expertise means. Nonetheless, for Raviji's simple thing, I go to the lowest common denominator, and that's where it makes sense to me. For Raviji's question, he says, how do you going beyond the experience aspect of it? How do you merge and all that, right? That's what it was. I would say that there is something called Purusharth, which is very essential, necessary for everybody. I do not, I have tried my best for in every aspect, I would say. But eventually what happened was, I tried Ahar Shuddhi, I tried Advait, who am I type of inquiry, who is asking this question type of thing. And I tried Bhakti also. It's yoga, of course, I've been doing for last 51, 52 years, last 50 years plus, I would say. And Kriya Yoga since for last 25 years, my Guruji, Gurudev initiated me into Kriya Yoga. And I was initially, when he asked me to do for a couple of processes, I had lots of questions, less like Raviji has. Raviji has lots of all the real sincere seekers. Sincerity means whatever you are suggested, you do it with all your might, and still that krityata, that fulfillment doesn't come in almost all doings. That is my flaw, I would say. For some people, krityata can happen anytime, and my inquiring mind was not allowing me to do that. So I never said that I am going. When I said I am going to meditate, my Guruji used to say that is a big problem. Nobody can meditate in the world. Nobody in the universe can meditate, because that is the whole idea. You can be meditative, you can be in meditation, but you cannot meditate, because that is the whole idea of removing you from the whole equation. The you is the problem. So when the moment you say I meditate, that you become the meditator. Now that's it. Now you get trapped into that situation. And then you try to see, because you are a meditator, now you want to have experiences, and then you become the experiencer. And then why is it when you read some other book and they say, well, they have this exalted experiences of this and that, and why am I not having all that? And when will I have all that? When will I merge with the infinite? And you try to copy or try to maybe the basic thing is the drive to achieve something is going to stop you from achieving that itself. The very desire to do it, a desire to achieve God itself is a deterrent factor in this. It will block you from achieving that, just that. So meditator was never the issue for me. I stopped meditating. I just sat in silence. That's it. You cannot do silence, right? So my Guruji so told me, you cannot do silence. You can be in silence. Okay, you sit in silence. Okay, good. So that was one of that. So I would describe my helplessness in some ways. I would say my marg is a kripa marg, guru kripa marg. Okay, so I have gone through all those gymnastics. I would say, as Pravin says, it's a mental gymnastics. I had gone through all those with absolute zero fulfillment in my life. So I would describe it as like having like big, if you have a big homes which have big walls, huge, I mean tall homes, right? Very, very tall. And you have these glass windows all over. And a pigeon comes inside your house. And let's say Pravin Dada is the householder, the owner of the house, and he sees a pigeon coming here. So he will on one wall, glass wall, he can see the sky, blue sky out there, beautiful blue sky, and he wants to go back there, and he's trying to struggle how to go. And he goes and bangs himself into one window and falls and say nothing. No, then he goes to another window, he gets knocked down. He gets to all the 4 windows, and he finally collapses on the floor. And Pravin Dada, being such a nice, kind man, he sees that this fellow is helpless. For half an hour, 1 hour, he has been trying to figure out how to go out. And you have opened all your windows, yet he will not go. He has come from one window. He knows that this is the window he can come, but he doesn't know how to get out. So he keeps banging his head against everything. And then what happens is he just he drops dead almost. And Vikram Dada goes and takes a dropper of water and puts it in his mouth. Okay, puts it in his mouth, and that fellow starts to breathe a little bit better. But he's not able to fly anymore, because he said, I have tried everything and nothing is happening. So Pravin, Vikram Dada was such a kind man. He lifted it up, and with a very soft towel, and he went to the window. The moment he goes to the window, he flies. And what must that bird be thinking? That pigeon must be thinking, I was dead almost. That fellow, Vikram Dada, would have killed me or put it in garbage. But he was so kind, and he lifted me up and let me go to the window. Now he is sitting in his tree and he's singing a song. So this is my situation. So this bird, let's see if I am this bird, right? One wall was Gyan Marg, I am that, who are you? All that Raman Maharshis and Advait Vedantic thought pattern and gymnastics, and you name it, and you got it. This everything is but Krityata is not happening yet. Then you go to Kriya Yoga Marg. So you do all the Kriya practices and all that, and nothing is happening still. And of course, I had a Gurudev who was helping me with that. That's how. So I then go to Kriya and Karma Yoga Marg. A lot of Karma Yoga, this, that. You do all the seva, selflessness, this, that. Still that something is missing. That something is missing was bothering me the most. And with all the 4 walls, you just fall down. And when you fall down, you land in the lap of your master, your Gurudev. And my Gurudev, Swami Atmananji, he says, I am not your Gurudev. Your Gurudev is within you. Look for it. And I say, who is that Gurudev? He says, your breath is your Gurudev. Your breath is always with you, and you, whenever you have a challenge, you reach out to that Gurudev, and it will help you always. I said, now no more questions. No more questions. You practice sitting in quiet after the Kriya process you sit quietly for 4 hours at a stretch, 21 days in a row. After that, you call me. Till then, you don't talk to me. I say, oh yeah, no big deal. This is so simple. I can do 4 hours a day, sit quietly. I mean, that's all you do. Just sit quietly. Just sit quiet for 4 hours a day, 21 days in a row. Now, if it is 3 hours, 59 minutes, no, that's not going to work out. So you have to do all. If it is on the 20th day, if it is 3 hours, 39 minutes, it's back to 0. I said, that's no big deal. I can do it. And you know how much time it took me? It took me 9 years to standardize that. So after that, I started to cry. So the crying was basically, I was almost in tears, not almost, I was in tears, real tears. And I called him in Rourkela, and he said that, I said, Guruji, I am not able to do anything. I'm just not happening. He says, who is doing it? I said, I'm doing it. That's the problem. That is the problem. You are doing, you get rid of that you from your equation and everything will be fine. Go and sit down back again. And call me 21 days later. And this was the Guru Kripa, I would say. This was the Guru Kripa. Because my crying was my melting of the ego. And once he understood that this fellow has melted the ego, Anugrah happened. Anugrah happened means my trying was 9 years. That bird hitting this, hitting that wall, hitting this wall, all the walls hitting every time. 9 years he was hitting wall, and finally he fell down. Falling down was you call it samarpan. In samarpan, that I am surrendering is existing also yet. But Vikram Dada picked me up, picking the bird up and letting me go to the window is Sharanagati. Sharanagati means Anugraha. Gurudev, you do whatever you want. I am राजी हैं. I am सब तरफ से राजी. आप मार डालो तो भी हम राजी है, जिंदा रखो तो राजी है, हमें कुछ न मिले तो भी राजी हैं. I am ready for everything. हमें कुछ नहीं मिलेगा फिर भी I am fine, because I had zero desire even to achieve that exalted state. And that is when Anugrah happened. And that bird, what that bird is singing now? Gurudev Tava Mahaniya Kripa. Gurudev Tava Mahaniya Kripa. मेरे जीवन का अवलंबन है, मेरे जीवन का अवलंबन है, बस एक यही मेरा बल है. गुरु देव तव महनीय कृपा. अज्ञान भरे संशय से भरे, विपरीत विचारों से भी भरे, मन के अंधकार को दूर करे, वचनामृत से तव बोध कृपा. गुरुदेव तव महनीय कृपा. पल पल पग पग जीवन पथ पर गुरु साथ रहे रक्षक बनकर, बिसरो न कभी यह प्रेममयी आनंदमयी तव बोध कृपा, गुरुदेव तव महनीय कृपा. So this is what the bird is singing now, hoping, that bird is hoping so much. He is always sitting there, hoping that one day Vikram Dada will see me once again. And the best part of it is, Vikram Dada never took sight of me all the time. But I am feeling that let him see once more. Let me sing again another song so that he can see me once again. That tug is always there. So the beauty is, this is anugraha. I'm soaking in anugraha. I'm dwelling in anugraha. I'm just bathing, and I'm dipped in anugraha all the time, just like the rasagulla that happened. The rasagulla sits inside a tub of juice. That's what I am. So I don't know what that is. Where is this thought experience? I don't know. I'm just feeling like that all the time. What can I do? Thank you.
Amazing. What a wonderful way to narrate the story. We don't have to take the characters in this story seriously, okay? I have never lifted anybody and I've never taken anybody to the window, okay? Much less somebody like
I mean, I'm
Shekhar
just
Dada.
giving you example, right?
I know.
So I'm just, this is
This
just
is only example, okay?
exactly.
Don't take it too seriously. See, as soon as you start taking personality seriously, then there is a problem. Because if you like a personality, then you will fall in love with the personality. If you don't like that personality, then you will start hating that personality. That will be the problem. We have with us Priyanka Didi. Priyanka Didi, would you like to say something about everything we have said so far, or everything you have heard so far? Priyanka Didi.
Okay.
Yes, please. Awesome.
I,
Go ahead.
I was not prepared to talk, and there might be disturbances in between. Okay. So just bear with it. Yeah. So the idea is, after seeing the thought. So when you see the thoughts, you might have experienced that when you're doing this process, it's very calming process. You know, that itself is a healing process. And your body needs that kind of, looking at your own self, that saves your energy from going outward. When it is inward, your energy kind of heals your own body. So in the process of spirituality, we give a lot of importance to both mind and body. Okay. Sometimes we feel the mind is a culprit, you know, but that is not the case. Mind is a very innocent device who is efficiently doing its job. Okay. Now, the Vivek, who is supposed to work on top of the mind to direct it, is sleeping. Now, so at that point, when you feel like, what happened to me, like, I know my Vivek knew that, okay, this is right, this is wrong, but I could not work on my mind. Somehow the connection was not there, the control was not there. Then somehow Vikram Dada entered, Sattva entered, and I realized that mind and body cannot be separated. They both are mithyas, but they both are together. So if you want to work on one thing, you have to purify the other. Or if you want to work on body, you have to purify the mind. So it's like it has to happen. So what happened with me, like, so yeah, it was difficult for me to work on my mind. Then I started working on my body. So diet purification instantly gave me so much of relief that it was easy for me to see the mind now and work on it, or to hold the thoughts, or not to respond on those thoughts, okay, or not to react on those thoughts. So why this happened? because lot of energy that was getting wasted in day to day, my body system, my physical system has been saved now because of the diet purification. And from there on, I felt like my clarity of understanding has automatically gone up. I didn't work for it, but it happened. Okay. So spirituality doesn't mean that you have to you have to be with the God all the time. Spirituality means you have to be a solution oriented person. You are not crying in any situation. You are not having pain in any kind of situation, because day and night are what the principle of this universe. We cannot avoid, up and down in life. So today we are good. We are in today maybe we are having the best of everything. Tomorrow we might not. Okay. Or maybe today we are not having, tomorrow we will work on it and we'll get it. But the thing is, this kind of situation will vary all the time. What is our responsibility is to be stable at all times, to be calm at all times, and not to take any kind of drastic action that may have repercussion on everybody, on people around us. Okay. So that is what my understanding is, and diet purification is the easiest way to achieve, that kind of spirituality that I'm talking about. That's all I can say right now.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Didi. Anyone else who has some experience with meditation and would like to share their thoughts in response to whatever we have heard so far from Ravi, from Pravin, from Shekhar Dada, from Priyanka?
Sindhura, do you want to say anything?
That would be awesome.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Yeah, sorry I joined late, but this was a very interesting topic to me. So, and I'm sorry I'm not video ready. So I'm just actually taking the call online. So, I mean, I didn't go through everything, but just hearing about the meditation and the thoughts, just wanted to share that I have been meditating for the last 2 years. One of the Kriya Yoga meditation, and one of the things that kind of actually stood with me is around the introspection, which is nothing but, I think, like some of you were just actually mentioning around in like introspecting your thoughts, your words, and your actions. It is so difficult. So I was hoping to get some of the things that I'm kind of actually still struggling with, and the spiritual journey is not at all easy. It's what I kind of actually I'm feeling, but it's very rewarding once you see the thoughts that you are no longer entertaining, and the samskaras that are left behind, and you are free of them. It is a lot of hard work, I guess, but as I think one of the sirs were saying, like Guru Kripa, once you get that, it just feels amazing. A very rewarding journey, I would say, but uh, studying our thoughts and how they get generated, and how we have to train our mind and be always in the awareness to not feed the negative thoughts. I think that's what I'm kind of actually working on at this point of time.
Thank you, Sindhura Akka.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience. Anyone else who might like to share their experience? Ultimately, I will try to summarize at the end, because since I have taken the responsibility for moderating this whole discussion, and Shri Dada has said that I'm going to coordinate this. I'm not going to coordinate this. I'm just going to let everybody speak, and then hopefully I can catch the gist of all of that and present that in the last few minutes. So anyone else who might want to share their experience?
I'm not going to share my experiences, but just again, I'm not good in words, but what I see is you get impulses from your different sense organs. So that impulse goes to the mind, and there is a memory pattern. There is a memory pattern which and that impulse together are needed to make a thought. Okay. If you don't get that a memory pattern, so for example, if that impulse that is coming to you is some mango, you can see the mango and so on. If the memory pattern is not there, you may not understand what it is, and you may not accept that as your thought. Okay. So the overall that memory pattern is the one that's kind of creating the vritti in you. Okay. And the more the thoughts are coming up, and if you say that, unless you say that this is my thought, it will just come and go and without affecting you at all. Okay. But if you say it's my thought, then there is, like, dislike, and all those things, start happening. So, overall, think that there is a big pool of thoughts, and that is some thoughts are yours, some thoughts are somebody else's. But your overall objective is whenever you get a thought, without kind of polluting that thought, send it back to the ocean of the thoughts. Okay. So that's all that I wanted to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Dada. That was really wonderful.
Beautiful.
Anyone else who might like to share what they have experienced? See, what we will try to do here is we will try to narrate our experience rather than trying to regurgitate whatever we have read somewhere else. So you may have read something somewhere, you may have heard something somewhere else, but how have you experienced it in your own experience? That is what we would be most interested in. So I think Adosh has unmuted himself. So Adosh, would you like to say something?
Yes, Dada, and all respected panels. I had come across one very famous thought that mind is like an ocean and thoughts are like waves and emotions are like wind. This I had I came across this accidentally during my duty in one of my oil terminals. But later on, when I realized that one thing Dada also had said, and many other people have also, great people have also said, that speak only when it is necessary. It doesn't hurt anyone, and it doesn't. You think a lot before speaking and putting things in words. This is my experience, sir.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, Adosh. Anyone else?
I'll share my experience.
Go ahead, please.
The ego, and in line with what Shekhar Dada mentioned. Some of you may know that I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor. I was given 3 months to live. This was 3.5 years back. I'm still alive and kicking. So, but during that time when I was given those 3 months, you just have 3 months to live by the doctor. One of the things that happened as a byproduct was I started questioning myself that who am I? I mean, what did I achieve in this whole life that I have spent so far? I had formed these notions about myself as I am a very successful professional, and typically a lot of people of my age group who were in the IT field felt successful because they came from their country here and they were living the American dream. So in their mind, they were successful. Similarly, I was also kind of basking in that success. And then I had also, so I was crediting all that success to myself. And the moment when the doctor said what he said, I realized that all that success did not matter. They were just perceptions of what I felt at that point of time. But the reality of the matter is that I may or may not live to see more than 3 months of life. So the more and more I started questioning, who am I? Who am I? I realized that I am not all those images that I had formed of myself. And what meant by those images was a successful person, a very good father, Even when driving the car, I used to think I'm a great driver. So I am not even a great driver. I'm just I'm doing a function of driving. So what I realized in that whole experience was that it is these identities that we adopt and cling on to, and each identity has only two functions. One is it will seek pleasures, and the so if I'm a driver, I want people to say I'm a good driver, so that gives me pleasure. And the second is I have to avoid suffering. So if somebody is trying to give, kind of cut me out of the road, I want to ensure that I avoid that suffering, either by trying to show him who is a better driver or by trying to just get out of that situation. So there are only two functions that every identity does. Now think about it. So many identities accumulated over so many years, and suddenly they come crashing down. You realize you are none of those identities. You are nobody actually. The moment that happens, that is the perfect time of calmness, because you realize that if you are none of those identities, then what are you really? And at that point of time, and this happens, I am sure, to most people in different forms. And I'm not saying so drastic as it was in my case, but people have gone through medical ailments, situations which have caused them to cleanse their physical and mental well-being. So when we take such actions, uh, either because of age or any other ailment or any other situation, family situation, we are essentially tired of that identity that we had been clinging on to. And at some point of time, once we start realizing we are much more than those are identities, which is exactly what Raman Maharshi also said about who am I. And even Dada mentioned some time back that his Guruji told him that, who is really doing this. And so that once it goes off or it reduces, and it will come up time and again. I'm not saying it disappears. It only, you become aware that there exists an I which is demanding pleasure and avoiding suffering. If you can at every point of time be aware of that, that in my mind itself is, you are quite close to what the calmness that you want to achieve, in everybody wants to achieve in their lives. And then obviously, like some of the speakers also mentioned, diet purification. At the end of the day, why do we purify the diet? Because a lot of our vrittis actually come back from our diet also. Like, for example, having too much of non-vegetarian food may actually increase the heat in your body. And also, when an animal dies, typically he dies, he knows when he's dying, right? When he's going to be killed or massacred for food purposes. So he is at that point of time filled with tremendous fear, and all his negative emotions, as well as the hormonal, all the negative hormones like cortisol is pretty high at that point of time. So you are actually consuming that meat, so it will have some effect on your own well-being or in your own, because our body is the most complex chemical factory in the world. And so what we are essentially doing is, once we start cleansing our diet, we are not triggering it negatively. We are giving it pranic food that is living food. And Dada actually in his Sattva program, recommends certain types of food. They are all living food. So there is life in those food when you have them. And that's why, that life energy, which is there in that food, gets translated into your physiology. The same thing with the mind. When the ego is reduced or under check, then it is not demanding consistent pleasures and avoidance of suffering. So the noise also reduces. And then finally, one thing I wanted to mention this, and this is something I discovered in my experience, was I used to be always bothered initially about the noise that happens in the mind, the monkey mind. I realized that itself is a false complaint. My heart's job is to beat. My liver's job is to secrete bile, then my mind's job is to create thoughts. The only thing is, so it is doing its job. It is creating thoughts. And as Shri Kaka mentioned, those thoughts are created by two things. One is the memory, and there are 8 types of memories. Obviously, we can go into the theory part of it, but and there is the 5 sensory inputs. So when the input actually comes, there is an input of sensory input. That time it will first check with the memory and see which is the closest match. Like Shri Kaka mentioned, if you have never eaten a mango, if you see a mango, it will not trigger the urge, the desire to have a mango, because you don't have it in your memory. But if you had a mango before and you know the taste, the taste of the mango has been stored in the memory form in your body, then the next time you see a mango, that will trigger the need or the desire for a mango. So the way your mind is doing it, it's cognizing. It's taking sensory inputs, it is comparing it with the memory that you have, and it's generating these desires and avoiding pain. And it is taking you into past situations, which is the memories of the past, or it is cognizing and predicting, like an AI engine. It is predicting what can happen in the future based on the memory data it has right now. So that is when you are thinking either about the future or you are thinking about the past. And the book you mentioned about The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle says that the main point of the book is that, and even our spiritual gurus, everybody agrees that it is this very moment that is real. Everything else is just imagined, right? I'll take a pause, Dada.
Great. Thank you, Pravin, for sharing your experience one more time. Anyone else? Fantastic.
One of the thing actually
Go ahead,
one
Ravi.
of the thing actually I want to mention is basically achieving the state of mind, a neutral position, right? So meditation is one part. You spend some time there, and are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My Bluetooth is kind of okay. So meditation is something like, you observe your thought, you have the observer, and you align with your consciousness. But the practical aspect of it, on day-to-day life, the success or the things actually I look for is how to be neutral. Neutral in a sense where the extreme happiness doesn't affect me, the extreme sadness doesn't affect me, but a constant and neutral position. Um, and one of the things actually I started doing this, and obviously I read somewhere, is this observing our thoughts. And we observe our thoughts, and you see that your thoughts are different. Your mind and how the thoughts are originate, and you can reach to a state where you kind of stop the thoughts, and you reach to a state where you feel calm, quiet, um, and the stillness of it. But when I do the same thing, for example, I'm listening a meeting in office call, there are several people talking, you try to pay attention to it. But if you can switch off your thoughts, you reach to that neutral state, and you can figure it out that you can hear so many different sounds. Basically, you know what is happening around you with absolute clarity, because there is no clutter or interfering thoughts coming out of from your brain. And you can find that quietness in the chaos, the stillness in that chaos. You switch off your mind while watching a TV, a Hindi soap opera, you can still, that emotions coming out of that Saas Bahu doesn't affect you, you know. So that is the state actually, which is, I think, is more practical on day-to-day life, where how you can be neutral. And if any practical way of doing it other than what I said, which is may not be correct or may not be complete, I would like to hear that from anybody.
Dada, I can actually share my, again, I don't want to hog the limelight here, but I can share what I have been doing. What you say is exactly right. Every day is a new day. You wake up in the morning. What happens is your vrittis, one, yeah, sorry. So every day when you wake up in the morning, whatever impressions that have been there in your memory bank. So what happens is the conscious, let's say when you're awake, your five senses are taking input, and then based on your vritti, you are experiencing things the way your mind is cognizing it, right? Now, when you go to sleep, your five sensory inputs are closed. Then what happens is in the dream world, your vrittis are, or your mind is taking these impressions and then creating stories, and you see those dreams. And in deep sleep, actually, that also goes away. So when you get up in the morning again, it's like a reset button. Your mood is again is reset. And I noticed this because when I was going through on a daily basis, the fear of death was every day coming up in the morning, because the first thing I remembered was the doctor telling me you have only 3 months to live. And here is one extra day gone out of that, So I'm actually walking closer, was the feeling I had. So every day morning, I used to get up with a gloomy feeling that I'm one day short now. But what I used to do at that point of time, Dada, was I had started doing Ahar Shuddhi, and I was every day morning doing a lot of Kriya Yoga. And during that pranayam, which is a series of pranayams and asanas, which I was doing, I had started walking initially and then started jogging. So one of the things, and later on when I talked to Shekhar Dada about it, I realized that what was essentially happening was I was increasing the oxytocin and dopamine levels by running and jogging and walking, and also by doing these various asanas and kriyas. I was essentially increasing the prana in my body. So it was resetting my gloominess every day. So by the time I had completed my exercises and everything, I used to feel very positive to go through the whole day. Now we are actually animals of habit. If you really see, we think that we are very creative, but the fact of the matter is every day we do the same things over and over again. In fact, if you look closely, you will notice that you get up from the same side of the bed every day. When you brush your teeth, your style of brushing the teeth is exactly the same. The clothes that you wear are pretty much from your own collection of clothes, so there is nothing new there. Your decision making process, everything, the breakfast you have, the timings you have, things are, everything is the same. So we are actually slaves of habit. Now what I realized is, if we really want to be in that space of neutral, we have to break those habits, those negative patterns. First identify them, and then start deciding that I am going to break these patterns. In neurological terminology, it is called creating new synaptic connections. So basically, you are creating new habits, learning new things, and you are hardwiring them in your mind. The moment that starts happening, you are going to start firing a new set of genetic expressions. And every time a gene expresses itself, it creates a particular type of protein. Our human body has millions of unique genes. So we can actually make millions of unique proteins. But the fact of the matter is, we are just expressing 28,000. So you can imagine, and a rat expresses 24,000. So we are no different than rats, actually. We are just expressing a subset. And that's because we are doing things in a pattern, habitual. if you start breaking out of that habit, there are millions of other genetic expressions that you can actually achieve. So the idea really is, if you want to get away from gloominess, and that's one of the reasons why when I went through this, I made it a point to learn something every single day. I have to sit down, read something, experience something new, because I know I don't want to express that gene which got me into the cancerous situation. I want to fire a new set of genetic expression every single day. Now, when you start doing that, it comes to a point where that gloominess goes away, because now it is just a memory and I just don't want to trigger it anymore. So sorry, thoda intense ho gaya, but the idea is, yeah, to achieve that neutral is to get out of the old habits or the patterns which are making us, do what we do, unstable rather. You start changing that, and that is by doing new set of things. Then automatically, it gets you're recreating yourself in a way, right?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Pravin, for sharing your experiences. So let's take a look at what everybody has said so far, and then I'll add a few cents based on my understanding and experience, and hopefully that will help all of us. So first, Ravi told us about his experiences about meditation. Then Pravin told us about a lot of things about Atma and Paramatma and Manas and Chitta and Buddhi and Ahankar, Druk Drushya Vivek, the seer and the seen. Then after that, Shekhar Dada told us about his experience about grace, how we try to do things, how we try to do meditation. Then after that, Priyanka Didi was very kind to tell us about her experience and also say, if you want to control the mind, then it might be useful to control the diet. Okay? Thereafter, again, we heard back from Ravi and Pravin. So it's all wonderful. Nice discussion. So the main question here, Ravi, as I understand it from you, is how do we reach that state where there is no sorrow anymore? There is always joy, there is always bliss, there is always a constant bliss. So we are not affected by our situation where we become happy and then again affected by another situation and then we become sad. So how can we maintain a level-headed or the same level of or equal or equanimous state of bliss or joy? That's the question. See, that's the fundamental quest all of us have. None of us wants to be unhappy. Everybody wants to be happy. Okay, so we think that our happiness is dependent upon meditation or a good job, getting a lot of money, or living long, or becoming healthy, or being healthy. All of those things are good. All of those things are great. It's not that they are not worthwhile pursuits. Whenever our attention is on things outside of us, and we think that those things are going to make us either happy or sad, what we will do is we'll try to acquire those things, keep those things that make us happy, and get rid of those things we think make us sad. Those things by themselves are not happy or sad. So the one thing that makes me happy may not make you happy. For example, we are sitting in this room here discussing all these things. Those who have come here willingly, they are very happy. Or if somebody has been dragged by their spouse, oh chalo na, abhi isko dekhenge, sunenge. So they are probably looking at their watch. When is this going to end? This is going to end in the next 10 minutes, I can promise you. What we end up doing always is our attention is on something other than ourselves. So what Pravin said in the beginning in Druk Drushya Vivek, Druk, the drashta is the one who is observing, and Drushya is the process of seeing or whatever scenery we are seeing. And as long as our attention is what we are seeing or what we are observing, we create impressions in our mind based on our previous experiences that this particular object or this particular experience or this particular thought is going to make me happy or make me sad. And therefore, our quest is always to grab and hold on to those things that please us, that make us happy, and get rid of those things that make us sad. So this first thing is called pravritti, and the second is called nivritti. Both of these things are done for the same purpose. The purpose is to be happy. So our fundamental quest is to be happy at all times, never be sad, and want to make that happiness infinite. That happiness should have no bounds, either in time or space. Okay, time, space, or object. Guess what? That unlimited, always available, eternal joy and happiness is our essential nature. It's always with us. It's always within us. Our problem is we are seeking it outside. Our problem is we are thinking it is outside. I'll tell you a story now, short story. Our Jagat Guru Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, once was looking for something outside his house. So one of his disciples asked him, Guruji, what are you looking for? So he said what he was looking for. Then the disciple asked, where have you lost it? So Guruji said, I have lost it in my house. Then the disciple was perplexed. He says, Guruji, if it was lost in the house, how come you are looking for it outside? So Guruji said, outside there is bright light, inside the house it's dark, so I cannot find it there. So the disciple, what will he say? He won't know whether to laugh or cry. He says, Guruji, how come you are looking for something where it is not? I mean, you have lost it somewhere else, but you are looking for it somewhere else. How can you find it? So Guruji said, I am not dumb. I wanted to show you through this example, by deliberately searching for something outside which I have lost inside, to tell you, you cannot find the thing which you are looking for if it is not there in the first place. So our joy, our happiness is not in outside things, outside places, outside people, outside situations, or outside time. So we seek our happiness or our joy in these outside places, desha, kala, outside time, means either in the past or in the future. Vastu, things. Vyakti means people, and paristhiti means situations. As long as we think that our happiness is in these five things, we can never be permanently happy. And we'll be happy for some time. Whenever those things or people or places or situations or time is to our liking, then we will be happy. But when those things are not, what we say, anukul, then we will not be happy. When that quest for seeking happiness outside stops. When will it stop? When we sit still. When we sit still. So if we can sit still, like Shekhar Dada said, we don't have to really meditate. See, meditation or being in meditation is a state of our mind, is a state of experience, or is an experience itself. So for example, we are currently in the waking experience. In our waking experience, we do things like I'm talking right now and you are listening, hopefully. Then when we go into the dream experience, we don't do dream. See, we are not doing any waking right now. We are simply in waking and we are doing things. In dreams, we don't do dreaming. We dream, and in the dream, we can have good or bad experiences. Correct? Then we don't do sleep. So if I want to go and sleep, shall I say that I'm going to go and do sleep? No, I won't do sleep. I fall asleep. We don't do sleep. We fall asleep. We are in the sleep experience and then we snore. That happens automatically. In the same manner, meditation is not done. We are in the meditation experience and we experience stillness. So meditation is not something we need to do. Okay. If you do meditation, then meditation will never happen, like Shekhar Dada said. If you are doing meditation, if you are struggling to do meditation, if you are the one who is doing meditation, you will never do meditation. Instead of doing meditation, ask yourself, who is the one who wants to do the meditation? When the one who wants to do the meditation disappears, that is when meditation actually happens. In the same manner as the one who wants to go to sleep disappears, and the desire to go to sleep also disappears, that's when sleep actually happens. So in the same manner, when the desire for doing meditation and the one who is wanting to do meditation disappears, that's when meditation will happen. The reason we have all of these questions is because we don't understand any of these things. We don't understand things very clearly. We don't understand the meanings of the words. We hear big words from many people, right? We don't understand the true meaning of those words. If we even understood the meanings of the words, if we would contemplate on the words and realize that the only thing that we are, see, why are we wanting to understand these things? Because we have this inner urge to know, right? That urge never really disappears. Everybody wants to know all the time, everything. The second urge is we always want to exist. We don't want to disappear. Now, like Pravin was saying, that I was so scared that in the next 6 months, I'm going to die. So I'm going to disappear. That's the fear, right? So we want to stay, we want to be, right? We want to exist. So that quest for existence is natural. Nobody here wants to disappear. We all always want to be. So existence is a fundamental urge. Knowledge is a fundamental urge. And all of these things, we want to have this in an infinite measure. We don't want a limited existence, and we don't want limited knowledge. We want infinite knowledge, and we want infinite existence. That infinite knowledge and infinite existence is equal to bliss. Okay? The only way this will happen is when existence and knowledge, existence and awareness merge into each other. Okay? How will they merge into each other? When we realize in our own awareness that our essential nature, our true nature is pure existence, existence by itself, existence not limited by an object, existence not limited in space, existence not limited in time. Okay? In terms of awareness, see, knowledge of anything other than ourselves is going to be limited, but we never have any doubt about our own being. We are always aware of our own being. I am always aware that I am. This awareness of I am, that's the ultimate bliss. That's the infinite bliss. If we can focus on that awareness of our own existence at all times, not pay attention to what is happening in the world. You should pay attention to things happening in the world only to the extent they affect you, and try to do the things that you need to do to make that external condition as pleasant for you as possible, to the extent it is necessary, not necessarily go beyond that. Okay? So if we can stay in this awareness at all times, that would be the key to being happy at all times. So I'll stop here and let Shrikant Dada conclude here, and then we'll take this discussion in the next session whenever it happens. So thank you, Shrikant Dada. Thank you, Shekhar Dada. Thank you, Pravin. Thank you, Ravi, for initiating this whole discussion and allowing me to speak, allowing me to coordinate all these things. And thank you, all the participants. Thank you, Didi, for sharing your experience. Thank you, Akka, for sharing your experience. Okay. Thank you, Adosh. Okay, Shrikant Dada, please.
All right. Thank you, Vikram. And thank you all for attending this. And again, this is something that's not going to end. I'm sure that you'll have more questions, and you would like to hear more and get more crisp path of for your progress. So I think this discussion will continue after maybe in January or sometime later. And again, feel free to comment on this. Again, all of you are participating in the yogic neuroscience group, and so again, just ask more questions, and the experts like Shekhar and Pravin and Vikram will try to answer those questions. Thank you.